we're going to start super basic.
Okay.
So this is really,
We already started with my heterochromia.
Yeah, that's true. I obviously am just meeting you for the very first time, but obviously you are pitching people constantly on your job, who you are. Can you give me the brief elevator pitch of like who you are and what you do for Michigan?
Yeah, sure. So my name's Hilary Doe. I'm the Chief Growth Officer for the state of Michigan. If you don't know what that is, that makes sense because Michigan's the first state in the nation to name a Chief Growth Officer, and I'm the first one.
Okay.
So I was tasked with growing our state's population. The mandate truly was, let's grow Michigan, whatever it takes. So we're thinking a lot about what we need to do in order to retain young folks here in our state and also attract folks from across the country to come and join us.
Okay. So when you're saying retain people, so a lot of that has to do with probably obviously the population that is growing up here, going to the universities here, and then hopefully actually staying post-college, that kind of thing. What kind of tactics are you approaching already with that kind of stuff, or how are you even approaching that problem?
Yeah, well, we started believing that wisdom is in the community, and folks will tell you, and when they tell you, you should believe them. So we've talked to over 20,000 Michiganders in sort of long-form conversations, asking what they love about their place and what's between them and building their future here. And then we also did, of course, analysis with faster-growing states and had a bipartisan council, all the things.
Okay.
But we came up with this blueprint for growth, to grow the state. And we've implemented policy, everything from free pre-K for all 4-year-olds in the state to free community college for all high school graduates in the state, listening, to what folks let us know they wanted and needed in order to build their futures here. We also invested a lot in housing because folks care about place, of course, and place-based investments, and housing really matters in order to ensure you have an affordable place to live. We pulled 6,000 young people across the country, and that was the #1 motivating factor in the place they're going to call home if they can find an affordable place to live. But we also do other things. We've launched pilots and programs, a first-in-the-nation program, for example, called Make My Home, that lets communities tell us who they need to retain or attract, and then pick a program benefit they want to try to get that done. So we're financing, for example, down payments on homes for residents retained or attracted, or student loan forgiveness, all kinds of things. And those good ideas come because the community tells us that's what they want or need, and we're listening.
How fun are you having with your
job?
So
much fun.
I was going to say, this sounds like a really fun job when it comes to, you have to care about people if you're in your job. Obviously, you're tasked with literally growing the population of people. What is one of the challenges that you were surprised by when it comes to this role?
Well, first of all, I do have to care about people, but I already did. My friends told me I was a walking Pure Michigan commercial for the decades prior to my taking this job. And actually, sort of one of the jokes is that I already have Michigan tattooed on my wrist.
You literally do, yeah.
Literally. And that was true before I got the job. I was not branded post the announcement. And I absolutely love Michigan and all we have to offer here. And when I moved back to the state, it wasn't because of nostalgia. It was because I really believe in the future. I'm really betting on Michigan to be a place that, matters in the fight against the climate crisis, to be a place that matters as we're thinking about manufacturing, for the future. There's tons of reasons I could go on and on, but, I'm fired up, and actually Michiganders are fired up about Michigan. Young people are fired up about Michigan and want to stay. And so it gives you energy, to do this work. So there are things, that are hard and complex. For example, young people want transit.
Yes.
That is not easy.
No, because we're heavily, I just came back from Copenhagen. I haven't been out of the country since high school. And obviously Europeans, when it comes to their environments, have a lot of options that have nothing to do with a car.
Sure.
So are you guys trying to tackle those problems as well?
Yeah, absolutely. And you really, have to, because again, folks are telling us that's what they want. So we have to listen. And I'll tell you, there are serious conversations that have been happening in the legislature that I haven't heard occur in my adult life about transit and about big investments in transit. And I'm really excited about that. And I think it's partly because of this frame, of population growth, because it brings everybody together, really. If you're in a big city that's really fast growing, you need people to fill those seats in your fast growing industries, right? But also if you're in a small town that's seen, population decline, that's your existential challenge. So it's a way to, in a purple state, bring folks together. We can all lock arms, get excited about the same thing, and try to get something done together.
Yeah.
And it's refreshing and exciting, and I think we're making some progress.
That's awesome. I mean, if we could have a train that goes from Grand Rapids to Detroit that is like just a through line, maybe a couple stops in Lansing and Ann Arbor on the way, that'd be amazing.
Listen, it's becoming part of, folks, candidates, talking points and things like that. So, I think we're making a difference on that front.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So when it comes to the Midwest in general, because obviously your focus is in Michigan specifically, how are you collaborating with the Midwest at large to kind of make some of these realities real? Because nothing happens in an isolated event, and obviously it takes a lot of people to make something happen. How are you relating with the other states in this region?
Yeah, totally. I think that first, it's not a zero-sum game. Absolutely not. I won't think we're all about collaboration. If an industry does really well here, we grow a bunch of jobs here, it'll benefit everybody, and vice versa, growth in other states. So we've really tried to look at that, patterns happening in other places and how we can mutually support each other, for example. One of the things that I'll sort of point to, we launched a talent campaign about 18 months ago, because I didn't mention it, but some of the state's marketing is under my office as well. So I hold our talent campaign and our business marketing, because if you do great things, you better tell people about them. And about 18 months ago, we launched our talent marketing campaign. And of course, we're talking to folks in state about all the good things to do in Michigan and why you should stay here. But we're also trying to talk to folks, across the country about opportunities in the region and in the Midwest and in Michigan, right? And to date, in about 18 months, we've already had 50,000 people come through that marketing campaign to sign up and say, hey, I'm interested in living and working in Michigan. And that's a wild stat in 18 months. And I think we're really, just getting started. That's
so cool. So 50,000 people, and obviously those are people that potentially could get filled in a host of different industries. Yeah. Are there any industries, we're obviously here because of Reindustrialization, the conference that is happening right here in Detroit right now. But I'm curious, is this one of the main verticals that you guys are focused on? Are there 3 or 4 that are you're actually seeing the growth in?
Yeah, well, there are a handful. We're lucky in that way. Michigan is a diverse economic sort of strata, we're excited about that. One that I like to mention to folks, because I think they don't know, and it's exciting, to myth bust a little bit. We have had one of the fastest clean energy job sectors in terms of growth in the country. Wow. And a lot of folks think, California or something, but, fastest growth. And that means that, when I talk to young people, I say, hey, if you got a degree in finance, I get if you want to go to Wall Street, but if you want to do purpose-driven work, there really is no better place to do it than right here. You picked your head up off the pillow in auspicious times, let's get this done, and we have every reason to believe we're leading in that area. So that's a great example. And another one I love to point to is our entrepreneurship and innovation ecosystem. It's the second fastest growing in the country right now. And when you go to places like New Lab, for example, and meet communities like our partners at Black Tech Saturdays, that is infectious. Every Saturday they have 700 plus founders who are getting together and building the future, in my opinion. In all different kinds of verticals, right? But that's attracting folks from across the country to that community. I couldn't say more about what the impact is going to be on Michigan of that, kind of draw in that community.
Absolutely. So when you're talking to investors and or people that are in other parts of the country, what is the thing that you're trying to not convince, but just be excited about to share with them when it comes to the changes that are happening in our state compared to other states?
Yeah, not convince is a great shout, because we don't have little brother syndrome at all, I think, here. I think the truth is we're
in Detroit. Detroit is a mecca, and people keep forgetting.
It's a scene.
Yeah,
it's a scene.
Yeah,
and if our coffee lines stay short, that's fine. But the truth is we have these, fast-growing industries and an obligation, I think, to some of the big global problems that our folks are stepping up to solve, to make sure that those jobs are filled and that we're, serving that mission. And that's the reason to tell our story to folks across the country and invite folks to join us in getting that done. So we're doing exactly that. And I tell folks that, this place is uniquely creative, has a unique history of creativity and also a unique future of creativity, is uniquely innovative. Some folks think it was just autos. Autos are a critical and exciting part of our history, but it's always been about innovation and still is. and that we have awe-inspiring beauty that they can't imagine unless you've been here.
That's
you know,
so
from
true.
20% of the world's fresh water, obviously, to like real diversity of place, from beautiful cities like Detroit and Grand Rapids to, you know, breathtaking places in the UP and Traverse City. And folks are moving here as a result. Michigan is growing. We're excited to report that now. 66% of Michigan counties grew last year.
I didn't even know that.
Absolutely.
That's so cool.
Detroit grew for the second year in a row, and the first year it grew was the first time in 50 years, so we're really bucking trends here. Flint grew last year.
So are you saying you're doing really good at your job right now? Is that what's happening
Not
right now?
just me. It's a group project.
Of course.
It's 20,000 plus Michiganders. But yeah, I mean, and the fun stat that I like to cite is our young adult population, which is really critically important, right? The growth in that young adult population is accelerating faster than 45 other states. We're top 5 in the nation now. That was not true in the 2010s. It's true today. And that to me means lean in, it's working with sharp elbows, and keep going because you know, our communities across the state are going to benefit, and we're building a great future for Michiganders here.
Okay, so I know that I'm throwing some of the most random questions at you, mostly because I'm also just like learning about what your role is and what this place means to you. But when it comes to your own personal life, how are you seeing things that you inherently love line up with the larger trends that are happening in Michigan? Whether that's family or industry, or you're talking about creativity and innovation, those are like some main pillars. But like, are you seeing overlap across all parts of your life with this stuff?
Yeah, well, I moved my family back here. I'm from Michigan originally. I grew up in Monroe County, just south of Detroit. But I went to University of Michigan, and then like a lot of folks, I'm a boomerang. I lived in other places for a while. I lived in Chicago and DC and LA, and mostly in Brooklyn. I was there for almost a decade before I moved back. And when I moved my family back to Detroit, we did it, like I said, bet on the future, right? And also because, honestly, I've been trying to get back home.
Oh, really?
I had Michigan up my sleeve, like I said, for a while. And it's really because of the lifestyle that I felt like we could have here. My husband isn't from Michigan at all. He's from the East Coast, and he totally fell in love with the kind of life we could have here because we were able to get a house. We have 2 little kids. You know, I was joking that our 800 square foot apartment in Brooklyn was feeling like we had too many mammals and too few square feet.
Right.
And now we have, you know, a great spot, and we're also can bike and be downtown in 8 minutes and get the benefit of all those big city amenities. I am a basketball, you know, fiend, and so I have season tickets, and I live in Little Caesars Arena as much of the year as I can. But you can also go to the DIA, one of the best art museums in the nation, and to the opera, and, you know, get all those like really big city amenities, great food, all the things. But, you know, have a different sort of kind of life with, frankly, more, I think, than I was able to get in other parts of the country that I had the chance to try. So yeah, I'm benefiting from the incredible innovation and creativity of the people all around me making this place that I get the chance to live in.
So cool. All right, this is gonna be my last question.
Yeah.
And this is like one of those, like, you could feel free to look right at this camera, because this is like one of those moments where...
Are we pointing? Are we like doing a whole...
Well, it's more of like, because I want the people that are gonna be watching this, and obviously one of your tasks and one of your missions is to grow the population of Michigan. What would be your thing that you could tell a stranger online about Michigan to get them here?
To get them here? Obviously, it depends who you are, you know, so it's different for everybody. But, you know, I'd say that Michigan and where we're sitting right here, because we're in Detroit today specifically, is, in my opinion, the future. Michigan is one of the most creative, innovative, awe-inspiring places in the nation. And you have to see it to believe it, and pack your bag for a long trip, because once you come, you won't want to go home. That's my hot take.
Heck yeah, heck yeah. It's so nice to meet you. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right.